Hi, everyone. This is Carla Wilchuck again. I know you're getting all very fatigued with all this craziness, but this is really important. So this is part one of what I'm going to share with you is the kind of psychological warfare that they're using on us. And what I'm going to show you is from very credible source. It's coming from someplace that is going to disseminate what they're. I'm just going to screen share, and we will get the show on the road. So if you don't know about me, I'm a science-oriented person of 30 years, and all the physiological systems, human being one of them. Okay, so we're going to go through this fairly quickly, and I posted this a couple days ago, but only 3 people saw it. And I understand that not everyone has time to read. So we're just going to go through it together. We're going to read this together. This is very important. Okay, so this is from the NIH, the National Institute of Health, as you can see here. And clinicaltrials.gov. This is officially called the COVID-19 vaccine messaging part 1. And let's just go down a little bit. The sponsor, as you can see here, is Yale University. The information, the responsible party is Yale University. Okay. So this is what parents and young people pay for. And you'll just see how they are using information against the population to manipulate. So the brief summary is this study tests different messages about vaccinating against COVID-19 once the vaccine becomes available. Participants are randomized one of 12 arms with 1 control arm and 1 baseline arm. So an arm is a technique or group. We will compare the reported willingness to get a COVID-19 vaccine at 3 and 6 months of it becoming available between the 10 intervention arms to the 2 control arms. Study participants are recruited online by Lucid, which matches census-based sampling in online recruitment. So I had already read this, but it didn't save, and probably a good thing, because sometimes when I'm reading things, I get fairly anxious and upset myself. So this is the second time. So okay, this is how they've structured it. The disease or condition is the vaccination of COVID-19. So the disease or condition. The intervention or treatment is these messages. So there's a control message, a baseline message, a personal freedom message, an economic freedom message, a self-interest message, a community interest message, an economic benefit message, a guilt message, an embarrassment message, an anger message, trust in science message, and a not bravery message. Okay, I'm just going to take a little time to breathe. We're going to get into what the heck does all of that mean. So it's a clinical trial involving 4,000 participants. So fairly substantial, fairly large study sample size. It's, they're going to divide up the participants into 15ths. So 2/15ths of the participants will be assigned to control message, bird feeding passage. I know that doesn't even sound like it makes sense, but wait for it. It's 3/15ths of the sample to a baseline vaccine message, and 1/15ths of each of the other 10 treatment arms or techniques or messages. And okay, look at this official title. The official title, not the one that they put for finding it. So obviously only to be found by certain people. Persuasive, same diff in my mind, messages for COVID-19 vaccine uptake, a randomized control trial, part 1. Oh, goody, there's 2 parts to it. So you can see here that it's been started in July, and the completion date was July 8th. So it's done. All right, let's start going through these different arms and interventions. The sham, I'm just going to move picture. Okay, the sham comparator. So they actually call it a sham comparator is the control. So it's the control message about bird feeding. So this message given to 2/15 of the sample, so that would be 266 people times 2, so 500 and something of the sample will be assigned to the peer control group, which is a passage on the costs and benefits of bird feeding. Okay, so believe it or not, this kind of ties in later why they chose bird feeding. Sick. Oops, yeah. Okay, so the active comparator, the baseline message, these participants will be assigned a message about the benefits of vaccination. All other treatment arms include the baseline language. So here we see that 3/15 of the sample will be assigned to a control group with a message about the effectiveness and safety of vaccines. Now we get into the experimental arms. So the personal freedom message. 1/15 or 266 participants of the sample will be assigned to this intervention, which is a message about how COVID-19 is limiting people's personal freedom, and by working together to get enough people vaccinated, society can preserve its personal freedom. Ooh, goody, if we're all good. If we're all good, then we can have our personal freedom. The economic freedom message is that 1/15 or 266 participants of the sample will be assigned to this intervention, which is the message about how COVID-19 is limiting people's economic freedom. And by working together to get enough people vaccinated, society can preserve its economic freedom. So we've already seen that. They've locked people up. Now it's on to masks and the, the freedom to even breathe. And the freedom to run a business or not, depending on who you are, really. The social benefit self-interest message. So 1/15 of the sample, or 266 people, will be assigned to this intervention, which is the message that COVID-19 presents a real danger to one's health, even if one is young and healthy, which we know is false. Getting vaccinated against COVID-19 is the best way to prevent oneself from getting sick. Okay, so your self-interest message. Then there's the social benefit community interest message. So 1/15 or 266 of the sample will be assigned to this intervention, which is the message about the dangers of COVID-19 to the health of loved ones. The more people who get vaccinated against COVID-19, the lower risk that one's loved ones will get sick. Society must work together and all get vaccinated. Okay, so they're already working on that message. They've been disseminating that a lot. Is it true? No, not from the data that I've looked at. In fact, the initial samples and tests being done on people says that the vaccine itself is extremely dangerous. And when you look at the ingredients, it doesn't even make sense. So we're looking at a therapy that is much, much more dangerous and has more health ill effects than even what it's supposed to be vaccinating against, which we already know the response or the recovery rate is in the 99%. So anyway, it gets better. Trust me. This is not even a really upsetting one yet. So the experimental economic benefit message. 1/15, or again, 266 persons of the sample will be assigned to this group, which is the message about how COVID-19 is wreaking havoc on the economy, and only way to strengthen the economy is to work together to get enough people vaccinated. Okay, again, the whole goal is just to help out big pharma and those with their vested interest in it, which we know is the elitists. Gets better, trust me, wait for it. The social pressure guilt message experimental message arm. 1/15, or 266 people of the sample will be assigned to this message. The message is about the danger that COVID-19 presents to the health of one's family and community. The best way to protect them is by getting vaccinated, and society must work together to get enough people vaccinated. Then it asks the participant to imagine the guilt they will feel if they don't get vaccinated and spread the disease. Because the flu vaccine has been so effective, and more people die from the flu every year. 40% of those vaccinated for the flu actually get the flu. So, so we're supposed to trust something that's being fast forwarded. Anyway, so yeah, I can't make this stuff up. They're seeing what verbiage, what message can work the best to manipulate people into this. I mean, think about this for a second. If we're talking nutritionals, zinc, supplements, we don't work on the best message to manipulate people to try and get them to take it. We show them the information, we show them the scientific studies, and we let them decide. That's not what's happening here, folks. You're being manipulated and have been for years. Okay, so again, Yale is working on the social pressure embarrassment message. So 1/15 of the sample will be assigned to this message. So 266 people will be given the message. They'll be talked to about the danger that COVID-19 presents to the health of one's family and community. The best way to protect them is by getting vaccinated and by working together to make sure that enough people get vaccinated. Then they will ask the participant to imagine the embarrassment that they will feel if they don't get vaccinated and spread the disease. Really? So, I mean, this just seems like a narcissist to me. This is a whole bunch of levels of. The next one is the social pressure anger message. So they're going to experiment to see if this one works. With 1/15, or 266 people will be given the message about the danger of COVID-19 to one's health, one's family and their community. And then the best way to protect them is getting vaccinated, of course, and by working together to make sure that enough people get vaccinated. Then it asks the participants to imagine the anger that they will feel if they don't get vaccinated and spread the disease. So they're just drawing upon everybody's emotions, just tactics after tactics. So, and you can see that right now. People are just angry. They're angry at everything. They're just stirring people into a frenzy of wasps and hornets. Okay, so the next experimental arm is trust in science. So 1/15, or 266 people will be assigned this message. Again, getting vaccinated against COVID-19, most effective way of protecting one's community. That vaccination is backed by science. Really? So they did a whole bunch of science on this vaccine coming out. I mean, we know what's going to be in it. There's some really bad stuff in it. There's been terrible stuff in vaccines. since the 60s. I mean, my dad was a pharmacist. Like I've known this stuff for my entire life. This is no new news, really. So backed by science, if one doesn't get vaccinated, that means that one doesn't understand how infections are spread or who ignores science. Really? All right, you see that already online. Okay, I got a phone call just today, actually yesterday, sorry, from somebody that said that a friend of his works for the Liberals and she can't take it anymore because they're paying people to be online, sending out messages, just riling people, sending out messages, going into social media groups, you know, just getting them angry, getting them all arguing. That's what they're paying them to do that. And she says she's just done. She can't do it anymore. So the next experimental message arm is the not bravery arm. Oh, this is a good one. So 1/15, there's 266 of the sample will be assigned to this message, which describes how firefighters, doctors, and frontline medical workers are brave. Of course they are. Nobody's denying that. But then they're going to say, those who choose not to get vaccinated against COVID-19 are not brave. This sounds like what some kind of crazy person would do to a kid. Like this sounds like childhood. This is bullying, teasing kind of tactics. This doesn't, I mean, if you think that there's anything okay by what they're disseminating, what they're figuring out tactically and disseminating to other universities and then to frontline people like nurses to make sure that they know what to say, which tactic to use. If you don't think that all the nonsense with the cartoons, you know, peeing on people and somehow that's the same as wearing a mask versus not wearing a mask, what? Who does that? That's just propaganda. I mean, they used that in the late 20s and the 30s. Okay, so let's go on here. I know, I'm disgusted, people. Okay, so here's the outcome measures. The first one is the primary outcome measure is, of course, the intention is to get people to take this vaccine. They have to work pretty hard at it, don't you think? The time frame is immediately after intervention, after the message is provided, and this is a self-reported measure immediately after intervention message. So whichever message you got as a participant, then this was one of the things that they were going to measure. What's the likelihood that you're going to take the vaccine? Within 6 months and then, 3 months and then 6 months of it becoming available. The secondary outcome measures, there's 4 of them. The first one being the vaccine confidence scale, time frame immediately after the intervention message. This is a validated scale, and the scale will be used to assess the impact that the messages of the vaccine had on the vaccine confidence. Okay, the second one was a persuade others outcome. So how likely are you to persuade others based on the messages that you were given? And time frame is immediately after the message is provided or given to you. And this is a measure of the willingness to persuade others to take the vaccine. Third one is the fear of those who have not been vaccinated. So they want us to be scared. Like, you're not a person anymore, you're a disease unit. They want everyone to be afraid of each other. So the time frame is immediately after intervention. And it's a measure of a comfort with an unvaccinated individual. Oh no, get this. Visiting an elderly friend after a vaccine becomes available. So Drawing on our love for grandma and grandpa. Oh, manipulative. Fourth secondary outcome, social judgment of those who not do. They want you to judge, which you're doing. Those of you just out there, just, I'm gonna pepper spray anyone without masks, or the videos we've seen of the old ladies yelling at the moms with the little kids. You're judging. So the fourth one is happening, whether they go hard at these messages or not. So social judgment of those who do not vaccinate. The time frame is immediately after intervention. In the same survey in which the intervention message is provided. This is a scale composed of 4 items measuring the trustworthiness, the selfishness, okay, they've already planted all those words, the likability and competence of those who choose not to get vaccinated after a vaccine becomes available. So if you don't have highest self-esteem, you know, what's kind of the most awful thing is to be ostracized in society by your peers. So they're going to draw on that card big time. I mean, we just got to get out of this bad marriage, right? This is terrible. If this was a human, you wouldn't want anything to do with this person. So why do you want anything to do with this kind of a government that does this? So, I mean, this study was funded by those that have a vested interest in this vaccine getting out there. All of those elites, globalists, the Bill Gates of the world. Disgusting. I believe that I covered this in the second video. So, you know, I'm just go on to the second video and they talk about eligibility and some other things, but I need to take a breather because as you can see, I mean, this is intentional. If you don't think that this was all set up and this is a scam and was planned out, I mean, go to Event 21 or 201, go read the agenda documents, Agenda 21, Agenda 30. They use pretty words, but they have no intention of sharing the planet with all of us. So, talk to you later.